Hi everybody, this is Scott Bogren, Communications Director for CTAA, and this is really a first of a kind for us. We've taken the concept of our podcast where we have what we like to call insightful transit talk, and in this case it's going to be an insightful transit video. So bear with us as we move through this. This is a first. And what we really want to do today is have a discussion with Carolyn Jeske, who will introduce herself momentarily here, to talk about kind of what some of her work at CTAA, how it touches on and also I think really overlaps with a lot of the themes in this edition of Digital CT, which is on innovative transit leadership. Carolyn has been with us. Well, I'll let actually Carolyn introduce yourselves to the viewers.
Hello everybody, Carolyn Jeske here. Many of you may know me from my work with the JobLinks Employment Transportation Center for a good 10 years or more. Recently I've expanded my role into more of a community engagement specialist, and I'm happy to be able to share with communities on broader issues than just job access transportation. And yes, I've been here quite a long time and love it still.
I think, and that's a great topic, community engagement, because a lot of what we're talking about in this edition of CT is community engagement. And, you know, I know one of the themes, and we'll talk about all the 6 themes later on in the discussion here, but one of them is community participation. And that's another way of saying community engagement. And really, this edition, we're trying to challenge people in the field, advocates, transit leaders, transit officials, to solve problems, to tackle new challenges, to take some risks, and to do things differently. And in what your work in community engagement, how do you see that playing itself out into these issues of getting out of always doing what we've always done and getting into solving these problems that sometimes seem so vexing, like we can't possibly do it?
Right. Well, I think at any stage, improving a community's ability to solve problems is always going to be a challenge. But when you look at how complex and interconnected our citizens are, our communities, our agencies, our funding sources, that in that complexity, I think we all are up for a challenge to improve how we solve problems. Mm-hmm. And for me and for many of you, you do see that the team-based approach is the way to go. Mm-hmm. Being incredibly open to the viewpoints of others, particularly your key customer and stakeholder groups, is one of the sort of hallmarks of good problem solving. Mm-hmm. Because at the heart of it, you're solving a problem on behalf of somebody, and getting the key players and a diverse group together is sort of the heart and the foundation of any good community problem solving.
I know that in November, and you can kind of see if behind Carolyn you could see the logo from the institutes we did in November here in Northern Virginia that really took a new approach to this kind of community problem solving, and let's put it maybe in a more positive. We were looking for solutions and coming up with new partners and new ways of getting to these solutions using an approach that is called design thinking or design theory. Tell us a little bit about that specific type of approach and then how that played out with these, I think it was 7 teams from around the country that came together to deploy that thinking into solving problems locally.
Okay, well, I should say that I do have a background in organization development, and sort of what I've seen with design thinking and why I've sort of embraced it so much is that it parallels what is important with organization development, mm-hmm. which is inclusiveness, diversity, a thoughtful, it's a reflective yet active process. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you a little bit more about the design thinking we've done, you'll see how that comes into play. So if you can see the logo over here, we are working with 7 teams from across the country, from rural areas, urban areas, suburban areas, and all sorts of different types of job access challenges. It's a 7-month journey adopting this design thinking approach. It's an action thinking approach. And so what we have are four phases And the first is to delve into your core reality. And it's not the reality that we all might think when looking at first at a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reality of our end users and of our stakeholders. So what we try to do is say, get your group together, which we have, 7 wonderful teams, identify your problem, and then reframe your problem.
And why do you think reframing? Because I wasn't sure when I first started in this process with one of the teams what that actually meant and kind of the power of the idea to take that step back and go, are we even asking and answering the right question? It's like sometimes we're also busy in just putting out fires that we don't take that moment to say, well, wait a minute, are we really even answering the right question? Talk about that reframing, because I thought that was a catalyst for what went forward after that.
Well, I think the reframing has a couple of really wonderful benefits, and I do think the first one is getting the team members aligned on where they come to the table viewing a problem, where their constituencies come to the table. So for me, I felt, and I hope the teams felt, that it was a quick way to even get to know each other. So from a team building standpoint, I think it's important to have those discussions. But also, I think a lot of times when we talk about our problems, sometimes the solution might be embedded in your problem identification, or the problem is related to that, so narrow that by not asking a broader question that gets everyone's viewpoints of the current problem, taking that into consideration, I think we end up cutting off other types of solutions to an issue.
Right.